Okay, no, it's not. We're not having an earthquake right now. It's not actually happening. No, I didn't have my phone ready to catch the earthquake when it happened. All of us are too busy trying to save our lives whenever that does happen here in Mexico City. But we did just have an earthquake not long ago here in Mexico City, a really big one. And this is a really strange thing that happens in September. It's earthquake season here. And nobody really knows why. Nobody's given a good scientific explanation, but it's just like a normal part of life that you take for granted that in September it's earthquake season, so you don't sleep without pants on. You keep your wallet and phone nearby, keep your shoes by your bed, and you have to be ready to go when you hear that earthquake alarm, because everyone knows that in September at some point there's going to be an earthquake. It's a really almost mystical kind of thing. The only explanation I can give for it is that sometimes magic is real. That's the best kind of explanation I have. It's kind of like a form of magical realism almost, especially because it happens on the same date. There's been some really big ones, and just yesterday, September 19th, was one of them. Right here in Mexico City, and throughout this part of Mexico, a big part of the country was hit by it. The quake was off the Pacific coast. It was over 7 points on the Richter scale. Thankfully, there weren't really any damages. But years ago, 2017, I was here for the big one. 2017, on September 19th, same date, we had a huge earthquake, and that one was nasty. Lots of buildings fell down. These obviously are buildings that were thankfully not damaged by either one. But in 2017, it was a really long-lasting quake, and terrible damages. Tons of buildings, lots of deaths. The whole city pulled together for just an entire week or two. There are thousands of volunteers on the street, running from one place to the next, helping clear rubble, helping the rescue workers look for survivors. Now, the really weird thing about that is that it was on September 19th. And folks who know history know September 19th was also the date of the really big earthquake here in 1985. Extremely devastating, just thousands of deaths. And so ever since 1985, and since then, construction companies have worked on trying to build back better, build more earthquake-resistant buildings. Ever since then, though, on September 19th, here in Mexico City, there's a drill. And I think it's supposed to be at the time that the original earthquake happened, at 12:19 p.m., there's a drill to be prepared for earthquakes. And for the last several years, people have been saying that this drill has some kind of mystical effect and actually ends up causing another earthquake to happen. Now, people talk about this in terms of like mental energy. They say that with all these millions of people thinking about an earthquake all at the same time, that somehow all of that mental energy comes together and somehow causes an earthquake to happen. I don't know. I can't really believe that. I'm really skeptical about the idea, especially because, what about all the hungry people in the world who are thinking about food all the time and food doesn't get manifested? It doesn't really seem to make sense. On the other hand, I don't have a better explanation for it. I don't know why the hell it happens, but multiple times there will be this earthquake drill to be prepared for an earthquake. So the sirens go off and everybody gets out of buildings like this, goes out on the street into the safe points of meeting. And several times over the last few years, shortly after that drill, inevitably a real earthquake ends up happening here in Mexico City. And that happened this year. It was just 45 minutes after the drill. And it happened in 2017, which I was here for the big quake. We had the drill and everybody went through the routine, and just a couple hours later, the big one hit. And I felt it. I was in a cafe. I remember I stood up and I told people, hey, I think there's an earthquake happening for real. And people were almost not even prepared because they thought, oh, we already did the drill, but it was the real deal. this year too. Just 45 minutes after the drill, this big earthquake hit. And there's all kinds of strange things that happen around quakes here too. Last year, I think there was one at nighttime, and when they happen at night, people see these lights in the sky. And I've heard attempts at explaining it scientifically, something about the gases released with the friction of the tectonic plates and minerals and gases. I don't know. I haven't heard a really good explanation, but it happens. I've seen it. Tons of friends of mine have seen it. And it's just kind of a part of life that, oh yeah, there's those weird lights in the sky of different colors, blue and red and pink. I'll link some videos in the notes here for this video. I'll put some links to videos of those lights. And also there's always sightings of UFOs. And yesterday, the 19th, was no exception. I guess in Guadalajara, people spotted some strange lights, strange flying objects over Guadalajara. So I don't know what any of this means. Hang on, noisy truck. So I don't know what any of this means, but it's just part of life here in Mexico City. And this is earthquake season, so we're all a little on edge during this season. Everyone's a little extra careful, and everyone knows that, just for whatever reason, earthquakes happen in September, and we're always praying that it's not going to be a bad one. Very unusual phenomenon, earthquake season here in Mexico.